the Logitech MX Master series has always stood at the top when it comes to productivity mice. People trust it because it balances design, comfort, and performance in ways that other brands often struggle to achieve. With the MX Master 4, curiosity and excitement have been building for months. The leaks, early promo material, and now hands-on photos have finally given us a much clearer picture of what this mouse is really about. In this section, we are going to break everything down in detail, from the materials used to the hidden details at the base, from the performance tweaks to the design refinements. Every small change matters. Even though Logitech did not make massive headline-grabbing changes this time, the improvements still tell us a story. They show us what Logitech is trying to achieve with this generation of the MX Master line. Let's start with the body and build. One of the first questions that popped up when people saw the leaked shots was about materials. Was Logitech finally going to move away from plastic? Would they bring in metal or something else for durability and a premium feel? After analyzing the Reddit leaks and carefully observing the images, it became clear. The MX Master 4 is still plastic. But here's the key. It is not the cheap glossy plastic that feels sticky, fragile, or low quality. Instead, Logitech is using a more refined version of textured plastic. It has grip, but it doesn't feel slippery. It's strong, but it doesn't feel heavy. It's the same design philosophy they have always followed. Keep it comfortable for long sessions, but avoid flashy or fragile materials that don't stand the test of time. At the thumb rest area, Logitech has also introduced a small but noticeable change. In previous models, the rubber used in that section often felt sticky over time. It would wear down with usage, sometimes peeling or collecting too much dust. This time, however, the leaks show that Logitech has used a smoother and more refined rubber. It is still soft enough to give comfort, but not the kind of sticky surface that causes problems after months of heavy use. This may seem like a small update, but for people who use the mouse all day, every day, these little details make a big difference in comfort and durability. Now, let's move to something that got a lot of attention in the community, the polling rate. Many users wanted to know if Logitech would step up the polling rate in the MX Master 4, especially since gaming mice from other brands now offer much higher refresh options. But according to the leaks, both Bluetooth and Logi Bolt connections are still locked at 125 Hz. That means you won't see a big jump in polling performance. For everyday productivity work, this is not a deal breaker. 125 Hz is enough for browsing, editing documents, or even working in design software. But if you're expecting esports level responsiveness, the MX Master series has never been designed for that purpose. Logitech is keeping the Master line separate from its gaming line, and that decision continues here. When you flip the mouse over and look at the base, a lot of interesting details emerge. The model name and certification marks like CE and UKCA are clearly visible. These are standard, but they confirm that the device has gone through all the usual safety and quality checks. You'll also see the familiar Easy Switch button. This button allows you to quickly swap between different paired devices. It's a core feature that Logitech has perfected over the years. Professionals who use multiple machines, like a laptop, desktop, and tablet, rely on this feature every day, and it remains part of the MX Master 4's DNA. The sensor layout on the bottom looks very similar to the MX Master 3 and 3S. Logitech did not change much here. That makes sense because the dark field sensor used in earlier models was already excellent, capable of working on almost any surface, even glass. What is interesting, however, is the update to the glide pads, also known as skates. In the MX Master 4, the glide pads are cut differently. They have bigger cutouts and slightly adjusted geometry. This change could mean two things. Either Logitech is aiming for smoother gliding across a wider range of surfaces, or they are trying to increase the durability of the pads so that they last longer under heavy use. And now comes the battery. This is always a big topic for MX Master users. From the leaks, we can see a couple of exposed screws on the bow. That alone might not mean much, but if Logitech has kept the same design approach as the MX Master 3 and 3S, then additional screws are likely hidden under the glide pads. This is important because it tells us something about battery replacement. Officially, the MX Master 4 does not have a user-replaceable battery. Logitech doesn't market it that way. But in practice, if you are skilled with a screwdriver and careful with disassembly, you can swap the battery when it starts to wear out. This makes the mouse far more serviceable than many other premium tech products. For long-term users, this is a big advantage. Another detail from the leaks clears up some earlier confusion. In promo shots, Logitech mostly showed the mouse connected via Bluetooth. That led many to believe that the Logi Bolt receiver would no longer be included in the box. But thanks to the hands-on images, we now know that retail units still ship with a Logi Bolt dongle. You can even see it tucked into the cardboard tray inside the packaging. This is good news for users who rely on Logi Bolt for lower latency, more stability, or secure enterprise environments. It's still there, out of the box, giving you flexibility to choose between Bluetooth and Logi Bolt depending on your needs. Now let's talk about a pain point that haunted some MX Master 3 users, the scrolling hiccups. Many people complained about occasional lag or stutter while scrolling with the wheel, especially when switching between ratchet mode and free spin mode. From early impressions of the MX Master 4, this issue seems to have been fixed. Logitech has refined the mechanism so that scrolling feels smoother and more consistent. This may not sound like a big deal, but anyone who spends hours working with spreadsheets, documents, or long web pages knows how important smooth scrolling can be. So, when you put all of these pieces together, what do we see? The MX Master 4 is not a revolutionary redesign. It does not throw away the successful formula of the MX Master 3. Instead, it is a careful refinement. Logitech has kept the core features intact: ergonomic design, multi-device support, reliable sensor, and long battery life. But they have also listened to feedback and made small but meaningful adjustments. Better rubber on the thumb rest, improved glide pads, smoother scrolling, and the reassurance of the Logi Bolt receiver still included. This kind of update reflects Logitech's strategy. They don't want to alienate their loyal user base by making drastic changes. Instead, they polish the details, address the pain points, and keep the product line stable and reliable. For productivity-focused users, stability and trust are often more valuable than flashy new features that may or may not work as expected. The MX Master 4 is shaping up to be exactly that: a trusted tool with refined performance. It may not break the internet with bold design experiments, but it quietly ensures that professionals, creators, and everyday users can rely on it day after day. The MX Master 4 is a curious release because it doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. At first glance, many people might even think it looks almost the same as the MX Master 3 or 3S. And in many ways, that's true. The overall shape is familiar. The design language is consistent. Logitech hasn't suddenly introduced a radical new body, new sensor, or game-changing technology. But here's the thing. Sometimes the smallest changes have the biggest impact, especially in a product like this. A productivity mouse isn't about thrills or surprises. It's about reliability, comfort, and efficiency. And Logitech knows this. That's why the MX Master 4 is designed to quietly fix old problems and polish the experience for people who use their mouse every single day, often for 8 to 10 hours at a time. Let's compare it to the MX Master 3 and 3S. One of the main updates from the MX Master 3 to the 3S was the click switches. The 3S introduced quieter clicks, which many people appreciated. For offices and shared spaces, that small change made a huge difference. The MX Master 4 seems to continue down this same path. Logitech isn't trying to replace what already works. They are refining it. So, if you're upgrading from the 3 or 3S, you'll notice that the MX Master 4 feels instantly familiar, but slightly better in the ways that matter most. The body design is another good example. The MX Master 3 already had one of the most ergonomic shapes in the industry. Logitech spent years perfecting that sculpted form, and people loved it. So with the MX Master 4, they didn't throw it out. They didn't chase after minimalism or futuristic curves. Instead, they doubled down on what already worked. They used the same plastic construction but upgraded the quality. They added better rubber at the thumb rest. They improved the glide pads. These are not headline features, but they are quality of life improvements that add up over time. Now let's talk about polling rate again. Some people might be disappointed that the MX Master 4 still sticks to 125 Hz. After all, gaming mice now boast polling rates of 1000 Hz, 2000 Hz, and even higher. But this is where it's important to understand Logitech's philosophy. The MX Master series is not a gaming mouse. It's not built for Twitch reactions in competitive esports. It's built for designers, editors, coders, and office workers. For them, a stable 125 Hz is more than enough. And it has an added benefit. It conserves battery. Higher polling rates drain power much faster. By keeping it at 125 Hz, Logitech ensures that the MX Master 4 remains efficient, delivering days or even weeks of usage on a single charge. That's a trade-off most professionals will happily accept.